Before we begin, please know that we welcome your questions throughout the broadcast. We only ask that you use the chat section of the GoToWebinar interface to submit your questions. The questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. Today's presentation is presented by Jim Brickner, Global Training Director. Jim comes to us with over 30 years experience in electronics. Jim has over 10 years ultrasound field service and repair experience. He's a renowned instructor and sought-out speaker in the ultrasound industry, having taught hundreds of biomedical engineers, BMETs, CBETs. He's a well-respected teacher who instructs from a field perspective. Now presenting Jim Brickner.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about first-time fix and why it's important. And I think, some of you are wondering, well, how is this going to benefit me? And frankly speaking, it's all about money and efficiency. Money is near and dear to all of our hearts, and whether you're in a hospital or as a third-party service provider, an FSC, field service engineer, saving money is great. And it's not just direct money. When we talk efficiency, it's about your hospital being able to see more patients. It's about you being able to fix more pieces of equipment. And the way you can do that is by when you get the phone call saying that this system is down, you want to be able to walk in there the very first time and fix it, which allows you to move on to your job and go ahead and fix more pieces of equipment in the hospital because we're all very busy. And it allows the hospital to start seeing, or clinic to start seeing more patients, which makes them very efficient. And we're going to talk about some of the techniques that Conquest Imaging uses. Now, not all of these techniques will apply to each one of the facilities. If you work in a hospital that, say, has a dozen ultrasound systems located in a single facility, some of the things we're going to talk about today may not apply to you. However, if you're a person who has several hospitals and you have to travel from location to location, they may apply to you. So keep in mind that these not all these may apply, but they're still really good things to keep in mind. So let's get started. I'm Jim Brickner, as Jackie said. I'm the Global Training Director at the end. If you have any questions that we don't get to cover today, you'll have a copy of my email address. You'll be free to send me an email, and we'll take care of answering your questions for you. So let's start off with what is first-time fix. How do we live it? What are the benefits for your customers? What are the benefits for you? What's your role? And on the next one, what is first-time fix? It's the most basic belief and attitude of Conquest Imaging. We will fix your ultrasound system on the first time. Okay? You can substitute Conquest Imaging to whatever facility you work for, okay? This is just an example of how we did it at Conquest, but you can put your name of your facility here. But the thing that you really have to get your head around on this is basic belief and attitude. It is a philosophy. It is something that you have to ingrain in everyone. It can't be just one person living this. We train every single engineer, all of our employees, our sales staff. How can we help this customer fix this system the first time? We offer hero kits. We have 24/7 tech support. Our engineers, all we do when we're talking about this is we build this philosophy into their mindset. It has to go from top and permeate all the way down to the bottom. Everybody has to have this mindset in order for it to be successful. So how do we live it? Well, we're going to go through these, each individual. Capturing configurations. This is one of those things that may or may not apply to you. Capturing configurations is definitely important if you have multiple facilities, multiple locations. What you do on capturing configurations is you actually, during a PM, when you first see this piece of equipment that maybe you've never seen before, you go ahead and you have to do, you know, a cleaning. You have to capture the information, what kind of software you have. Well, while you're doing this preventative maintenance, you take the system, all the covers off, all the cosmetics off, and you capture the part numbers of everything that you can possibly capture. The monitor, the user interface or control panel, any internal boards you have. You go ahead and capture those part numbers and you assign them to that system. And why is that important? Well, you know, you get a call from your customer and saying my user interface isn't working and I can't type anything on it, and you say, okay, well, I'll have to order a user interface. And so you do. You say, okay, I can do that. Well, I don't have to drive to the location to get this part number. I open up the file associated with that particular system, and I have a part number. I call, I order the part, it gets delivered the next day, and I go in and I fix the system the first time with the correct part. There's no chance that I got the wrong part because I had it captured. So capturing configurations is a really important thing if there's multiple locations. If the system's in your hospital, it's probably not a big deal. You drive, you walk down the hall, down an elevator, get to the system, find out what the part number is, and you order a part number, and it's probably less important than that. But as an example, we had a call a couple years back, 2 years ago, I believe, a customer in Washington, way out in the middle of nowhere, Bremerton, Washington, and they called up and their Logic 9 was down. And after troubleshooting over the phone with our tech support, we realized we had probably one of two parts that was needed. We opened up the configuration file, we ordered both parts. It arrived overnight, and as did I. I had to get on an airplane next day. The parts met me there, and I was able to fix the system on the first time, even though it was located in Washington and we're based out of Stockton, California. So there's an example of having, capturing the configurations being a huge benefit. Interview. This is a customer interview. One of the things that we talk a lot about is image quality as being a huge problem to troubleshoot, as well as they have a lot of DICOM settings or PAX issues that come across. And in order to get the first time fix, you have to exactly know what the problem is. And sonographers, whether they intend to be or not, can be a little vague. I have an image problem. Well, what's that mean? So an interview is very important. I've gone so far as to change the word interview to interrogation, because if you don't get this information, if you don't suck it out of the sonographer and understand what they're trying to say, you could be troubleshooting a completely wrong issue. Again, when I was an engineer in Phoenix, I had a Logic 9 with a color artifact, and I came in and asked, did you try multiple probes and multiple ports? Oh yes, we did that. So I start troubleshooting, and I threw the whole system at it. I had to replace power supplies, I replaced the back end boards, I replaced front end boards, and at the end of it all, I still hadn't fixed the system, and I'd rebuilt the entire thing. So I had to go back and talk to the customer who I knew very well and said, I'm missing something. Let's start all over from scratch. Do you have any other probes that are associated with this system? Oh yeah, I sure do. So they go to a drawer in the room that I had no idea there were probes in. They pull out a probe and that one's working. So if I had to ask the question, right off the bat on day one instead of day 5, do you have any other probes? When I plugged that probe in, the artifact went away, which demonstrated that they had 2 bad probes that were causing virtually the same artifact, and I could have solved that on day 1 had I asked a simple question. So interview is very important also. To make sure that you do a proper interview or interrogation and get all the information needed to help you solve the problem. Knowledge base, use your knowledge base. Who is that? Well, that could be a colleague that you're working with that's got, say 7 years of ultrasound experience, but you're fairly new to it. So call your colleague. Hey, have you seen this problem before? Conquest Imaging, as an example, has free 24/7 tech support. So call tech support at a vendor that's appropriate. Not all of this applies just to ultrasound. So if you have a CT engineer that's very knowledgeable, use those people around you that you have confidence in, and find that knowledge base. Find the service manuals if you have access to them. Use all your resources is what I'm saying. Find your knowledge base experts and use them. Peers, like I said, you have a colleague that you're working with who has a lot more experience than you because you're new to ultrasound or new to CT or MR. Use your peers. Part stock. There's some simple things that you can keep in your shop that will help you first time fix a system. Some of the common ones that I highly recommend, if you have, let's say you have 10 Logic E9s, well, a trackball is a high failure item. So you may want to order a trackball to have as on-shelf stock. Another one is a hard drive. Common failures on almost all ultrasounds are hard drives. Well, the two most common ones right now are SATA and IDE. So you may have one SATA, one IDE sitting on your shelf to keep ready for that first time fix opportunity. Part stock, going a little bit further, you can see the last line, ghosting hard drives. Well, if you have systems such as the 2233 that you either can't load software on, or they make it very difficult, or they charge you $3,000 to buy the software, but you don't have it, well, if you take the time to buy that $100 hard drive and ghost the original hard drive on the system and put that to the side, your customer calls and says, my 22's down, it's not working. You say, after talking to the customer, you determine it's probably a software or hard drive failure. Boom, you go in there, you plug the new hard drive or the ghosted hard drive in, and boom, you're up and running again. If it doesn't fix the problem, and so let's say that's day one, then you're there to troubleshoot the remaining part of the problem, but you know it's not hard drive, you know it's not software. You order the correct part and come back the following day and have the system fixed. Again, a really, really good technique. Parts ordering and verification. What we mean by that is make sure you order the correct part. This goes back up to capturing configurations if there's multiple locations. But one of the things, another example, the 22 and 33, they have parts matrix that allow you to figure out that this part is compatible with, say, 5 different part numbers. But you want to really try to stay with like to like. So, parts ordering and verification, making sure you're getting the correct part ordered. And if it's not like for like, please do your due diligence and to make sure that the part you are going to receive is compatible with the one you're ordering, okay, the original part. So those are some things. Let's move on. Alternates and configurations, that's what I'm just talking about, making sure you're getting exactly what you're ordering. And if you're not, you're getting an alternate, make sure it's compatible. Source parts versus verification. Source parts are a little scary for some people. This is where, if you know who your vendor is you're dealing with, having confidence in their parts is vital. We here at Conquest, one of our philosophy is quality matters. Because quality matters, we give a 6-month warranty. Find vendors out there for X-ray, for CT, whatever, that offer this higher quality warranty so that you can actually have confidence in the part. Most vendors, OEMs, offer a 30 or 90-day guarantee. What if you find a third party that can give it to you for a cheaper price but give you a better warranty? That's what you're looking for. So find those people and use them. Parts repair. We do all of our parts here in Conquest are repaired in-house as long as we have that particular stock. But we go on and go way beyond just taking a system, purchasing a system, and harvesting parts out of it. We actually have a standard fix, is what we call it, where we tear down a system that we purchased, and every part in that that's going to go into our inventory goes through a remanufacturing process where we add components that are known high failure items on that board. Then we test it using our functional QA. So, for example, we pull a name board out of a 22, and we know the high failure components on that, so we send it to our repair floor. We replace those components, and once we replace those components, we send it into what we call functional QA, where this board's tested. And once we're comfortable that it's 100% functional and there's nothing going wrong with it, then we send it to what we call a final QA to put another set of eyes on the board or component. And once it passes that, we will go ahead and put it in inventory. You need to look for vendors like that. There's nothing worse than getting a board in the mail or FedEx, taking it to your facility and having it be DOA, dead on arrival, or have it damaged in shipping, which goes onto our packaging. You know, if you get a board in the mail when you or in UPS that you can shake the box and hear the board rattling around inside the box, it's obviously not packaged correctly. So find those vendors again that will take care of you, that care about quality, and you'll see that'll help you. The other one is shipping. Again, if you can't get the part overnighted to you so that you can start first thing in the morning with a new part or a part that will fix it, that's a problem. So again, recognize the vendors that can meet your needs in that regard. So what's the benefits to the customer? What's the benefits to your sonographers, to your radiology department, or your breast imaging department, or your CT department? I mean, it really is across the board, right? Well, they have increased uptime. What's that mean? That's profits, right? Profits is something we're all looking for. We want to maximize profits and minimize repair costs. Again, that's what we're ultimately looking for, is keeping the system up 100% of the time if possible. Increase confidence in you, well, that's a big one. I mean, you know, the industry average is 70% for OEMs as far as ultrasound's concerned. The GEs, the Philips are somewhere right around 70%. We're around 90%. And I can tell you the customers, even if they're hesitant at first, going with somebody other than the OEM, once they see the response times, all the things that we do, and I come in and I fix it the first time, you know, our field service engineers, our biomeds, they get it fixed the first time, they want to see you. They request you. And their confidence in you is, I know, Joe, you're going to fix this. You're going to do great. I have all the confidence in the world for you. Let me know when it's done. So it really does allow the customer to have confidence in you as a biomed or service engineer. And eliminates multiple work orders, which is, again, cost. And you say, well, we don't have to charge our customers because I work in a hospital. Well, it's still cost. It's still efficiency. So multiple work orders, if you have to go back 2, 3, or 4 times, that's an efficiency problem that's going to cost you efficiency and the customer money because they're not seeing patients. So multiple work orders are a problem. Well, that leads to what's the benefits to you. Well, we kind of highlighted some of those already. Courtesy calls. If you go into a hospital room, and even if you're in a hospital, you don't necessarily call them courtesy calls, but I can tell you that if you're given a whole bunch of service calls to fix one system away, you're losing money. Well, same thing if you're going to multiple facilities. If you go to do work on a CT and it takes you 7 service calls to get it fixed, well, they're not going to want, this other facility is not going to want to pay you for 7 service calls because you're supposed to be the expert. So eliminating service calls is a real big thing, or courtesy calls, excuse me. Increased efficiency. Well, there's nobody out there that can tell me that you don't have enough work to do. You always need a little more work to do. So by doing something first time, You increase your efficiency, which allows you to get all the other things that are on your plate completed. Your understood value, I mean, it's your value. It's something that you can embrace, that everybody out there in the hospital or your customers understands that there's value associated with you specifically. You have captive customers because they want you to work on their systems. They don't want anybody else. They don't want to see anybody else. They want you. Increasing customers this is obviously not if you're in a hospital, but if you're in a field service position, for example, you can increase the amount of customers you have, which is more profit for you. And again, goes up to the, as you bring on new customers, that you're an understood value because of all your past experiences with other customers. Revenue increase, pretty obvious. A huge benefit to especially third party who are trying to increase their revenues. In a hospital, you're trying to increase efficiencies. So it's basically the same thing. And if you're in a non-hospital environment, you have the advantage over your competitors. When we go in and talk to our customers, one of the things that they want to hear is, well, we have a 90% first-time fix. And if competitor A is asked, they say, well, we don't know what our first-time fix rate is, or they don't want to answer the question. It's pretty obvious that they're either not collecting data or analytics. They're also unwilling to talk about what their first-time fix rate really is. So it gives you a huge advantage over on competitors. So in conclusion to all of this, what are we trying to say really? Everyone plays a role in the success of the company or this philosophy. It's not just a person or a procedure, it's who you are. Now again, we say Conquest, but put your own hospital name, put your own facility name, put your own company name in there, and realize that what we really have to do in this instance is build the philosophy from the top down. It can't happen with one person. It can't happen in one department. It has to have the whole philosophy, everything about it has to be, part of the team. We have many examples of this. We have customers that will call us at 4:40 in the afternoon after FedEx is gone and left, wanting to know if they can get a part out that day because they want to fix it tomorrow. Our team, even in the shipping receiving department, will get that part pulled from inventory and they'll drive it to the FedEx facility so that we can get it there to you. We've also put it on Greyhound buses. You have to get the whole concept is, have the whole team support this. And that's really the importance of this first time fix. If you can get everyone's buy-in on it, you can be surprised just how good you can be as far as first time fix is concerned. As part of this this webinar, what we're going to also do is provide what we call the first time fix checklist. You can kind of see an example of it here. So we'll go ahead and provide a link to the first time fix checklist, and it's just a real short bullet points as to what we've covered today, and it allows you to kind of find out. You can cross off, well, that really doesn't apply to me. I only have 5 ultrasound systems. They're all at one location, so I don't really need to capture configurations. You don't have to worry about that. So you can also interview. Well, you have to do that if you're working on ultrasound or CT or whatever. You have to get a good interview / interrogation. So you can use this checklist and develop it or modify it any way you see fit. This is just a kind of a bullet point checklist. We're also going to provide a link with a recorded version of this webinar. So check that out if you've missed any of it, if you were unable to see the beginning of this. Go ahead and look at that. Also pass it around. Pass it to colleagues and peers to see what they can do. So go ahead and look for that coming up. after the webinar. We also have a brand new 2017 session starting next week. And we have 3 sessions throughout the year that are kind of shows session 1 right here. We mix the order of the classes up for each session, but all the classes are still offered. We also have customized training. When sessions aren't going on, I can go out and visit your facilities and do training for you, or you can contact us and say we want to send somebody there or several people there, but these are the systems we're looking for, and we can customize a training plan like that for you. This calendar has been attached to this webinar, but it's also on Conquest Imaging's website. So just as a point on this, it's not mentioned, but we offer professional organizations in every state the opportunity to visit our facility free of cost for 1 class per year. So if, as an example, we have California Medical Instrumentation Association here in California, CABMET in Colorado. So wherever you're from, if you have a professional organization that you're a member of, then I highly recommend you contact us and find the class that you want to attend, and we'll get you set up for it, and it's at no cost to you. Now, travel obviously is going to be at your facility's expense or your expense, but the actual cost of the class is waived. So we also, as part of our training program, provide a tablet, and this tablet links to anything that you see right now, so you can watch that. You can order parts from the tablet. You can Skype with our tech support. So there's a lot of benefits to attending our class here at Conquest Imaging, and a tablet's at no cost to our students. We are also one of the first in the nation. I think we are the first in the nation. I have not found anywhere else that's offering a brand new system that's becoming very popular in hospitals throughout the nation. It's a Voluson E10. It's a OBGYN specific system, and it's huge in hospitals right now. Sonographers love it. So if you're looking at how ways you can work on it, we're doing a hands-on class on March 29th. We're also doing a hands-on session in Irvine, California during the MD Expo. And we're doing a webinar on June 1st, which is troubleshooting techniques and tips on how to work on the Voluson E10. As I said, this will be the first time that it's been offered from somebody other than GE, the OEM. So I highly recommend you take the time to visit us and see what we can offer you and help you out with as far as your training needs are concerned. So again, I told you that I'm going to provide you with my email address. If you have questions that aren't answered today, please feel free to reach out to me via email and let me know what we can help you with or questions you have, and we'll make sure that myself or one of our experts here gets you the information you need. So now's the time for you to ask questions of me if you have any. So please, if you're using your chat page, I have Brent here that will be reading these questions to me so that, and I can try to answer them. If I cannot answer them for whatever reason, then don't let that bother you. What I ask you to do is use my email address again, and if for whatever reason I have to research the question you're asking me, I'll be happy to do that, and I'll email the response back to you. So without further ado, Brent, do we have any questions today?
Yeah, Jim, we do have one question. Someone's asking, what is the standard for determining downtime? Is it only down if the unit will not power up, or if a unit's partially down, would that count against the 90% uptime guarantee?
Well, that's a good question, but really that would be up to the specific user. If they're willing to use it in limited, it's really not a down system. But if for whatever reason, let's say that it's a cardiac or a vascular study that requires color Doppler, and only their color Doppler is down, well, the system is essentially down as far as that department's concerned. So what you measure downtime on is whether the system's usable in that particular clinic or not, even though it may be functional in some ways. If it's not functional in the way needed, then we consider it down. Any other questions? All right, there are no other questions at this point. If you, if you have any further questions, please feel free to email me, and we'll get one of our very knowledgeable staff to help you out. I want to thank everybody for coming, and Jackie, do you have anything else? All right. Okay, that's it. We look forward to seeing you again. Again, June 1st is our next webinar for the ViaSign E10. Thanks again for everybody for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.